Hey everyone, welcome to rePLAY InfoComm 2025. This is the industry's only curated version of InfoComm 2025. What's unique about what we do, and my name is Gary Kay, and I'm joined today with Steph Beckett. How are you doing, Steph?
Yes. I'm good, Gary. It's you know what? This is gonna be very fun doing this with you because we don't like cross paths like, we don't hang out at work that much. Usually rAVe TV is our
Yeah,
time weekly where we catch up. So I'm excited that we're gonna be doing this all 3 days this week.
exactly. I totally agree. And what's unique about what we do is we do something that nobody else does in the industry, and that is we literally send reporters to every single booth on the show
Mhm.
floor. We shot over 1,700 videos at InfoComm this year, which I think
Yeah.
is close to a
It's a
record.
new record
New
for
record.
InfoComm, I think.
Yeah, and so therefore we actually get a chance to see every new product that's introduced, because if we didn't see it in person,
Yeah, that was weird.
you put me back
Is
up. There we go.
Gary? There
Yeah,
he
no,
is.
good. I disappeared for a second, but
You
I
did.
don't know if you came in and said anything, but I was just
I
saying,
did it because I thought that maybe other people could see you, but
I,
maybe I just couldn't
I
see
don't know.
you,
It was
but
weird. We kind of like
okay,
froze.
sorry, everybody. Don't know what that was. That was crazy.
That happens again. You
Gary
talk. You talk.
became yeah.
But in any case, we get a chance to watch all these videos and we see the cool products, and there's really no way for you to do that because you don't have the time to do that. So we do it, and the idea
Yeah,
behind this is that we're going to spend 3 days, a little bit of time each day. We're going to
mhm,
highlight probably a couple of hundred companies' products over the course of the 3 days. We're going
yes,
to talk about the ones that we thought are most substantial,
mhm,
and all of this information. So all the photos we took, all the videos we took, all the articles of new products we wrote about, all the blogs. Um, Steph wrote a daily blog. Our live
mhm,
TV shows are recorded. All of that is in one place at
yeah,
raypubs.com/infocom. So if you just go there, and what's nice about that, Steph, you know this, but others may not know this, is that
right,
you can actually go back and past infocoms and see 25,
mhm,
24, 23, 22, keep going back.
yeah, and
So
then we
we
started
keep it all
putting them
there.
all on one page now. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you can go back and look at other products from the past Infocoms, but yeah, and also if you join every single day, 2 p.m. Eastern for, this is we're gonna keep this probably like 2 to 3 each day, you are eligible for 3 CTS, CTSI, or CTSD RUs, but you have to come to every single one live, and you have to be answering the poll questions, which are going to pop up throughout the day, so just be looking out for those. That's a good reminder to myself to just remind you guys of how to use the platform. So hopefully you should see me and Gary talking and I guess you didn't see Gary talking for the few minutes where we lost him, but he's
Well,
back.
not minutes, seconds. I think it was seconds. I
Seconds.
think I did pretty good.
Seconds. But that's like kind of the most important part. But to the right, that is the where we are taking Q&As. So if you have questions that you want me and Gary to address about the products or remind you what something was called or anything, ask that there. That's going to be the easiest place for me to see it. Keep answering those poll questions. Those are directly below where you see me and Gary talking to you. And then directly below that, we have our networking chat. It has a new look, and we're very excited about it. So you guys are kind of like one of the first to get to use it now that it's kind of had a little facelift. I'm really excited about how it looks. And then if you keep scrolling, we have a little bit about all of the people who were going to be taking part in this week. And then we have all of the YouTube videos of anything that we showed all throughout the bottom. So if you wanted to go watch the full video, we're going to be showing you kind of like quick clips today. But if you want to look at the full one, we have that too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'm excited about everything. Let us
Yeah.
know what you think about each of the features that Steph talked about, especially in
Yes,
networking, since it's got a new user interface. And we're
exactly.
testing out this new UI here on this group of people that are here.
Yeah.
And hopefully it links to your accounts and your pictures came up and all that kind of stuff. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
But in any case, we have a lot to talk about. There was a lot
We
going on
do.
at the show. It was a
Yes.
good show. The overall attendance was up about 1,000 from the last time we were in Orlando. So
Hmm.
that's a good trending direction. Orlando's always lower in attendance than Vegas. Vegas was 36,000. Orlando was 31,000. this year. Yeah, so we have a clip I think we also have a clip to show you from day one of the show too. Don't we have a little clip?
Yes, well, we have some show floor images. I would love to kind of like this is kind of what it looked like for me
Yeah.
and Gary each day. So you can kind of get a feel for what that was like. It was pretty like, it wasn't necessarily like you were shoulder to shoulder with people when you were walking, but there were crowds. And I think
Yeah.
that that is a really good sign. Like Gary said, Orlando usually ends up being a little less busy than Vegas does, but it still felt like very, very busy each day.
All right, so I think we're gonna
And
show you a clip from rAVe TV, right? One of our
yes.
episodes from day one of the
Yes, so
show,
this
which,
is exactly what it looked like for me as I was walking around the show floor kinda looking for things to
this
talk
is
about,
your
so check
tour, right? Is this your
Yeah,
tour of that?
yeah, it was
Okay,
my
good.
tour, so check this out.
Many people are here, so let's do it. I'm starting over here over at ViewWall. They are all about intelligent video wall management, KVM solutions. They have a lot of their video wall solutions back here. So as you can see, we have a video wall turned to a digital canvas, all types of information being shown here, perfect for command and control. We have dicolor LED over here kind of showing a curved, more like almost like a virtual production-ish solution. Like this is a very, very crisp curved LED here. Let's keep going. I'm seeing a lot of curved LEDs this year because we have this one too, kind of showcasing how you can get this really smooth wrap. This is going to be perfect for like Times Square, outside of a hotel, any one of those. Not too thin of a pixel pitch here, but of course this is kind of, I think it's 1.95 pixel pitch, but let's continue on. We are at Uniview, by the way. So they have a few of their LEDs hanging over here. We have a gorgeous Uniview over to my left. Let's continue on and see who else has something interesting. I saw a lot of people congregating over here, and I'm interested to see what they were looking at over here at the MuxWave booth. So let's make our way over here. Of course, we have a wall right here. We have a chip-on-board micro LED from them. I'm seeing a lot of chip-on-board micro LED technology this year.
I'm always down.
And of course, yeah, we're making our way over here, passing Vanguard, and we are going over here to MuxWave because people are absolutely obsessed with the holographic invisible screen. I'm gonna try to get Dalton to get as much of a detail as he can get, but this is literally as thin as a screened-in porch screen, but it's LED and it's holographic. And it is literally so thin. I wonder, Dalton, can we go in there and show everyone how thin it is? Can you just reach up your arms that high? Incredible. That's one of the thinnest that I've ever seen. That's so cool. So they're showcasing it in a few different ways. We got Mr. Mario, we got a lipstick, we got a burger that's making me kind of hungry. So let's continue on here. I'm gonna lose Dalton. Honestly, I've been waiting until how long it's going to take until I lose him. Okay, here we have, this is my favorite. I love when people turn LED into art. This is kind of what my house looks like. So, as you can see, AV is no longer about just a display, an LCD that's just completely dark when it's off. I love solutions like this that are made to be on all of the time, but most of these don't consume that much energy. So,
Okay, so that was kind of just a little bit of me kind of walking you through the show floor. I would kind of just walk down one of the main drags each day that I did a little show floor tour. I separated into thirds. So
Yeah.
tomorrow I'll show you a little bit of the second, third of it. So let's kind of jump into some videos here because I know that's why everyone's here anyway. So we're kind of focusing a lot on unified communications today. That's just kind of how things shook out. We have Dave Danto coming on in a little bit to talk about his top trends. So it just kind of made a lot of sense to focus on communication technology a lot today. So the first product we want to show you, it's not necessarily new, but it's had some updates recently. This is Televix Discerno. So this is a plug and play DSP powered discussion system. This is going to be for your boardroom, your small parliament, your courtroom, completely hybrid ready, records easily, scales neatly, which is another important thing, especially when you're dealing with these like huge installs like courtrooms and anything governmental. And it's pretty bulletproof. So check it out.
At this station, we're really highlighting Discerno being used in 2 different ways. So on this side, again, we talked about simplicity, we talked about plug and play, but also hitting the feature sets we want. So we have 2 different types here. We have a chairman, we have a delegate.
Perfect.
And honestly, what I kind of wanted to get ready and focus here for the video is right out of the box, we have these different ways that we can route audio.
Nice.
Whether you're just doing something in person for a rental company that needs to have something deployed up to 250 units,
Right.
or like we talked about at length with courtrooms, or integrating with other folks for your DSP. So we can do all these different modes, and here at this station we've just got very straightforward. You got the engine, you got the delegate units,
Yep.
and we've got our embedded web server to make those decisions right out of the box.
Very cool.
On the other side,
Okay. So we have DSP mode.
over here we're showing something a little more sophisticated. We want to be able to showcase with some of our great partners. This is Biamp, and we are using AES67 to connect over audio over IP, in this case Biamp, and then just showcasing just a little bit of control, and making sure that people, when they come and visit the booth, they understand that, yeah, we're right out of the box, we can do a lot.
Yeah.
But if you want to expand and
If
go into
you
something
want
more
to
sophisticated,
customize,
we
you
play
can.
well within the industry.
Yeah.
And so this side's just really all, showcasing about what we can do with our partners out there.
Which is important.
All right. That's Televic. In fact, we use Televic to do our live show floor tour. We actually did a live show floor tour of about 25 people that we took around the show floor from booth to booth to show them. They were all end users, and we showed them sort of our top 10 to 12 products that they need to pay attention to at the show. We use Televic
Yeah, that's
system
fun
to do
to
that.
communicate. Yeah, which worked
Yeah.
really well.
People loved it. And so next on the list is Hudley's C1 video bar. Hudley entered the video bar market with this product officially. It's got some interesting new features. It's AI powered, of course, which uses sort of like all the AI that they use on all their cameras. It's specifically designed for medium-sized meeting groups, but it's a 4K camera. That little box has a 16 mic array in it, stereo speakers, and of course AI. So it's constantly looking at the room, looking at where people are and who's speaking, who's doing different facial movements, and it's able to frame people up as they speak and also do full room framing as well. It's all connected through one USB-C cable. Hudley has, Hudley's kind of like Barco in the sense that Barco comes out with another click share. They're like Disney's animated movies. Even if it's average, you're going to have a whole bunch of people go watch the movie, right? So Barco could have, a great product or an average product, and people are still going to buy it because the ClickShare brand is strong.
The brand
Hudley's
is strong.
the same way. Hudley's sort of like that in that they're known as a high-end camera company. So they come out with a product, not dedicated camera, but related to UC, they're going to be successful. It's sort of like, on a much grander scale, if Apple were to ever come out with a car, there'd be a whole bunch of people that would buy it because it's Apple. So
for sure,
Barco, the ClickShare branding, specifically Hudley, their branding is good. So they'll do well with this C1 video bar, even though that is a heck of a crowded market that I'm sure Dave Danta would tell you it's hard to stand out in that market.
So my thing is also, I'm going to be so honest, most video bars are so ugly. Like, why do they look like that?
Well,
and this one is beautiful because Hudley understands design. They have this whole like Norwegian, very simplistic design behind them. And wait, they're Norwegian or Swedish, one of the two. I'm so sorry. No, they're Norwegian. Okay.
Norway, yeah.
Yes. Look, I didn't want to get that confused, and they would get mad at me. So like they have this whole like very like Scandinavian like elegance in the design, and so I think that is also what sets them apart, which seems like it wouldn't matter, but we care a lot about how things look in our meeting rooms these days, so it's starting to matter a lot more.
Especially if you're staring at it, right? And you see
it.
But
Exactly. So speaking of like how things look in the meeting room, I think that like a lot of people wanted to see the demo with HP Dimension and Google Beam. So we have a couple of images about it because they wouldn't let you like take your camera into like the actual demo. But here's what the booth looked like. We have a couple of images of like the HP Dimension and then like how it integrated with Google Beam. So this is kind of HP Poly's first 3D AI technology product. This is their commercial implementation, I guess, of Google Beam is how that was explained. Essentially, like basically the first full finished product from Project Starline, which is what Google Beam used to be called. So this is like a 65-inch ultra high resolution display showing this lifelike glasses-free 3D video generated from 6 cameras, spatial audio, adaptive lighting, no VR headset needed, and then you have this like very futuristic kind of meeting area. So
and all for only $25,000. So if you've got
right, the thing
$25,000,
is,
you get that. So
yeah,
it's a complete system,
yes,
and it's going to be sold by HP. Obviously, they're kind of like the partner / distributor of the product, or the integrator of the technology is probably a better term. And you know, this product, again, there's a whole bunch of companies that will just do what Google tells them to do. So
mhm,
they have decided to use the Google ecosystem for communicating everywhere. And it doesn't
yep,
matter if Slack has a better networking platform. It doesn't matter if Microsoft
mhm,
Outlook is a better, more secure email. They're going to use Google because they're using it. So therefore, dropping this beam in is going to be successful because they're going to have a built-in audience of some
absolutely,
number, whether it's Google, starting with Google, and you know,
mhm,
which, by the way, they have a whole lot of offices themselves, so they'll end up
yeah,
buying a bunch of these,
yeah,
and then moving forward from that. Now, if they can
yeah,
scale it down to education, they might actually sell even more because obviously K through 12 is all Google as well. So, but speaking of aesthetics, Steph, you brought that up.
right,
Leon is known
yeah,
for aesthetics, and they came
absolutely,
out with the Edge 360,
mhm,
which is an all-in-one system. Just take a look at this video and see what you think, because not only does it look good, designed for video conferencing, but it's from a company that does a really good job in integrating both the good quality technology
yep,
into a nice aesthetic.
yep,
For rooms where you can't get technology on a wall, you can get technology into the Edge 360. The beauty of this product is single or dual display, video bars above or below, or PTZs or speakers. We can configure it any way that you want. And all the technology is mounted behind the displays in an area where you can access it easily by removing these back panels. So everything is accessible. The top is ported so that you can take care of passive ventilation. Cable and data coming up through the legs. We can build these into the subfloor or use this base. Lots of flexibility on how you can solve your technology needs in unique spaces.
yeah. Again, like they just make the most beautiful like products. It's so elegant. It's so perfect. They're great in like the home space, but yeah, they're also getting more into like the UC, like making something for places in which you can't mount the display on the wall. Their example that they've given to me about this was a bank that was a historical building and it didn't have any support for a display on the wall, but it was like a beautiful historical building, so they don't want to like have this ugly freestanding thing in the middle of the floor, so they turned to Leon speakers to do it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm not surprised. Now, Steph, you had a chance to get a tour of the Audio Technica experience room. I think it's interesting. Audio Technica is like that company that is yelling,
mhm,
"We do this stuff too," because
right,
you have Shure and Sennheiser, kind of like the big, you know, big audio companies, and you've got
mhm,
rAVe, which we'll talk about in a minute. And I think Audio Technica is sort of like, you know, we're a high-end audio company too. I
yeah,
thought the way that they set up their experience room, which they've done one time before at InfoComm, was a great idea, because instead of putting on headsets and seeing what it's like to use their systems, they actually demonstrated it and by building a room on the show floor.
yes. So check this out.
This, I'll let her pan across this. They've actually got a demo going on live right now. So this was our third year of doing this. where we're actually connected to Ohio, through a Teams connection, and that's what you're really going to be listening to. That's what your end users are going to be hearing. So these guys are all able to listen to our applications engineer on the other end, Kaylee Kamerad, who's talking through all these different products to hear it. And then, you've got Dan Pelletier, who is our applications engineering manager, and Chris Mack, who's another one of our applications engineers that are, it's our job to help all these things go smoothly. And we talked about earlier about how we've got that infrastructure in place to be able to help out everybody. This is, actually, you're looking at it now. This is our infrastructure.
Yeah, and I think that's important factors to let people know that you're solidly in the UC space.
Yes, absolutely.
Whether it's Teams, Zoom, Meet, doesn't matter.
Yeah, and you can experience it.
Yeah.
It's not theoretical.
Yeah. All right, so I'm really excited about the next product, and I think it's smart for rAVe to, this is strategically smart from a marketing perspective. So they came out with a new product line called the HDX, I think we're going to, I'm showing, there you go, the HDX. You can see the aesthetic of that is much nicer, but here's the thing. This product doesn't ship until next year. So this is a brilliant idea from a marketing perspective from rAVe, because this slows down the sales of their competitors, because what will happen is people will say, well, rAVe is coming out with this thing in January, maybe we should wait. So you never do this when you're going to cannibalize your own product. You only do this when you have something new. So this is something totally new for them. It has a hub, and I'll state this is a much better hub than what they've had before, which will help them quite a bit. And basically everything connects to this hub. It comes with basically two separate microarrays, right? That also have speakers built into them, but you can also add additional accessory mics, is what sort of what you're seeing there in the center. And aesthetically, it's nice. It's sort of like, and what's interesting about this is really listening to your customer, because we have at UNC, we have rooms that are as large as 30 by 40 with one rAVe bar in the room, and it handles the whole room marvelously. But there's people that doubt that actually works. So I will often do demos. People will call into my class and watch me teach a class because they don't believe it actually works.
Yeah.
I've had people from companies like Cisco who are thinking about buying a whole bunch of these things, to Duke University, UCLA, other schools, Texas, who have actually joined my class and actually watched me teach with that one bar. But this is smart, because rAVe is like, well, we know it works with one bar. Let's give them what they want. Let's put two bars in the room. And that way they're getting everything covered, and now they won't doubt us. And by the way, they can stick other ones in the room too. So if anyone is doubting them, but they did some other things there. They put some LED indicators on there that change colors based on other things. It gives you confidence when you're muting, because there's this big controversy going on in the university community about people spying on professors' classes because they don't like what they're saying. So you get this big red dot in the middle when it's muted. Just smart things like that that are integrated into the product. It's smart for rAVe to do this. They're not going to deliver it till the first quarter of 2026. Kudos to them for recognizing that this is going to potentially wreak havoc on their competitors. Still uses the same microphone mist technology that they have in the other products, and it works well.
Yeah, absolutely. For the next product, this is from Multitaction. This is the Canvas. And I wanted to kind of show a visual collaboration platform. We're showing a lot of hardware, some software, but I thought this platform was really cool. This is like a short demo. It's like kind of got some AI involved in it, but check it out.
So you can see here that we have a QR code on screen. We can scan that QR code, and that allows us to use your phone to ask questions. And when you ask a question to the system, it's going to generate 4 personas, and those AI personas are then going to be able to answer that question. And then these are the answers that come in. So you can see here what we've done is we've asked the question, what can Multitaction and why do you like it? And then David has answered that seamless integration system is a huge win. Based on the other information and the answers from the other people, he then comes back and says, well, actually, hearing the other information, here's my meta response. So we have response and then meta response. A lot of our clients have been asking us to be able to upload notes from a virtual, from an a real environment into the virtual environment. So what we've provided for them is an app that they can take a picture of the notes on the whiteboard. Then they can select which notes they want to import, choose where to import it to, and then they click Create Notes on the canvas, and you'll see it imports those notes straight to Canvas as digital imports. These can then be edited internally, can change the size and shape, and take something from the real into the digital with the push of a button.
All right. So I love that demo. I love the product. I think they've got some great technology, very niche, but what they're doing is showing you sort of like the future, right there. That's what's cool about that, is even if you don't have an application for that product, you're seeing the future. So D10 updated their D7X, which is a 27-inch Android kiosk basic product for UC. This product came out, I know they had it at ISC. I know they had a version of it that they showed at InfoComm, I believe, last year. Check out this video, and you'll see the latest version of the product.
For the first time at this show, our new D7X 27-inch Android for workplace kiosk. We've partnered with Urban on this kiosk stand, bringing you a full, complete solution that you can place in the lobby, outside of elevators, in retail locations. And this is going to give you the powerful Zoom backend of contact center, workplace management, and of course, receptionist and workspaces. So if we take a look at this screen, you have 4 button options. You can call a virtual receptionist, you can ask for help. That call tree can be assigned to a specific user, so you speak to the exact person that you're there to see. You can check in as a visitor, get a badge printed, be able to receive access into a facility. Workspaces is really cool. This is where you're going to find the map layout of the location that you're in. You can load this by floor or a complete facility, but it's going to show you all the available spaces that are bookable at that location. We have conference rooms here. We have hot desks. You can see which one of your coworkers are in the office that day, where they're working if you choose to work closely to them. Or you can go into something like our D7 conference room. You can see what gear is in there, if it's an appropriate size location, and then book it for as many hours as you need for the day. And that's going to reserve you into that kiosk workspace system. And then finally, deliveries. So instead of having a person on site that is manually accepting deliveries from UPS, Uber Eats, we know a lot of people are at a location for a very short time. This allows you to check in and see exactly what's happening to you as a user throughout the location. You can see here a package was delivered to Mike at 10:08 a.m. There's a picture of what that is, and then you can, as an organization, mark that as picked up or help control that delivery management.
Excellent. Excellent. They had I was going to mention they had a version of this that was like a desktop version. Now this is a kiosk. So this brings them into a different market. Now they have virtual reception, automated processing. I mean, and adding AI to this would make it where it actually would know who you were and what you want probably before you got there. So
yeah, which I think like kind of is another, you were speaking about the future. I think that this is another future forward, like this is kind of where the industry is headed. Like you see crossed with building management. So before we bring our guest on, I would have one more video. This is one that I checked out and I was actually pretty impressed. This is from Lumens. This is the VCTR61 AI tracking camera. So this is a dual lens camera that has a panoramic camera on it as well. So the output, which you see here, is kind of like a picture-in-picture image. So you can have both the tracking camera and the panoramic camera on the same screen, but you can also output them as separate sources if you don't want to do that, which I thought was like pretty neat. You know, you don't always need that in a product, but I hadn't seen someone do picture-in-picture super elegantly with a PTZ camera until now. So I was interested in it, but yeah.
All right, so I guess it's time to bring Dave Danto on.
Yeah.
And get his input on the show. Dave, how you doing? First off?
Doing great. I've just about recovered from walking. I have my watch gives me the steps, and I think I blew 3 or 4 times past it every day during the show. So nice to be sitting in a chair again.
Well, I
Right.
appreciate you coming and joining us. You're obviously extremely well known in the UC market. Basically helped create it, I would argue, with a lot of the work that you've done in the past. And luckily, also a columnist for us. You can read all his columns by just going to our website, raypubs.com, and then go to the blogs squad, the blog section, and you can just type in his name and see all his columns. And yeah. I love, by the way, Dave, I love the fact you have an opinion on things, because too many people write fluff, and we don't want to be known for fluff.
Well, Gary, wait for the end of this week when Steph puts up the next blog. You may not love it anymore.
Well, let me ask your opinion on the rAVe. Let me ask your opinion on the rAVe HDX product, because I'm a rAVe user on an everyday basis at UNC. So
I pulled 4 products out to talk about that I look for things that are different, that are game changing, that are going to be, and the rAVe, what they've done with microphone mist, what you use all the time, it's a good product. But what they've done here with the HDX in adding microphones and speakers is they've created a voice lift system for large rooms at the press of a button.
Good point.
In our industry, it used to be programming and zoning and complex and this and that. I'm telling you, just plug everything in with, RJ45s and press a button, and boom, you have voice lift in the room, front to back, back to front, side to side. That's phenomenal, and that's going to change the way we do installations going forward.
Yeah, and I think, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's a piece of that I did not mention. In fact, you can actually hook up 4 external microphones to it. So it's not just like one mic, and you can use anyone's mics. I was surprised that they didn't introduce their own lav mics and handheld mics, but you can use anyone's mics with their system, and that's quite unique.
It also has Auracast built in, so it can work for a system
and that's
as well.
Another good point, because Bluetooth, right? You get the Auracast Bluetooth. Now, Dave, one thing I want to mention about that is I kind of alluded to this hub. I like the way they're doing the hub versus the way they did the console. Not console. What did they call it? Connect. Was it called Connect? I forget what their little connection box
from the HDL series.
Yeah, for the HDL series. What do you think of the hub?
Again, what I said to people, I said to Nancy Knowlton, one of the founders of the company, is that we always talk in technology that any really good technology is indistinguishable from magic. You put these things on the wall, you plug the wires in, and you bring in the audio engineer, do you bring in the integrator? No, you push a button and it sets itself in the room. And that's the kind of amazing technology that we're starting to come out with in the industry.
Yeah. And so I had also kind of compared them and Barco and Hudley in the same sort of vein of like brands that can pull off what they're trying to pull off. In this case, rAVe, I think, is clearly announcing the product early to make sure that people know that it's coming, maybe get some feedback from the customers, but also maybe slow down some sales of their competitors' products out there, which is smart, in my opinion, from a marketing perspective. But Barco launched at the at InfoComm, a new product as well, and also has an MDEC codec built into it. Talk about the importance of that. Like, what is Microsoft's new MDEC system? Why does this matter, and why should people pay attention?
It's terrific. It's interesting. I'll detail it. I could spend the next hour on MDEC and Microsoft. I won't go there. But that's actually not even the reason why this is so cool. Their new product is called the ClickShare Hub. It's the next generation of the ClickShare, and in addition to doing everything ClickShare always did with presenting and BYOD and BYOM, they now have a codec built into the box. They now have an MDEC, which is Microsoft's Android operating system, built in. So if you bring your computer in, you can use your computer BYOD. If you don't bring your computer in, you can still do the call because it's got the codec built into it. But that's not the cool thing. If anybody who's been using ClickShare for years knows that most people plug in the button, press the button, and they're on. Right. But some enterprises don't allow that because they keep their USB blocked and they won't let you load software, or they won't do anything else. Their new generation button says, oh, you won't let me load software? Okay, pretend I'm a display. And it works off an alt display port. So now anybody can use the ClickShare button. There's never a restriction anymore. And that's a game changer in the industry.
Good point. Yep, good point.
That is a good point.
Now, you mentioned Hudley, and Hudley was on my list as well. I think I'm going to start calling the Hudley the video box, not the video bar, because
that's fair. It's not really a bar.
I remember when I was with Poly, when we came out with the first thing, the internal name for the video bar at the time was Kitten. Soft, fuzzy, comfortable, and everybody has Me Too'd that product, soft and easy and rounded and curved. And Huddley came out and said, "We're a piece of equipment. Deal with it. Sharp, round edges, hard box." Of course, the technology works, but they're coming out and making a design statement that says, you know what, we'll celebrate the technology. Let's not try to hide it anywhere. And you know what? I think that that's actually a pretty refreshing thing for the industry to do.
I think it works. And I think that the round edges, we've kind of been there, done that like a million times, right? So one, Huddley differentiates itself on the market by just being their design is a little bit different. But it's a great product too, right? What was it, 16 mics built into that thing?
16 mics, and they've always had a system they call Huddley Crew, which lets you hook up multiple outside-in cameras to do switching. So now this becomes the hub for the Huddley Crew, so you can connect 4 cameras into it plus its own camera. Sounds good, looks good. It's like a big thumbs up that they've really kind of taken this back to where it should have been, which is now let's celebrate the tech.
Let's celebrate the tech, but the tech doesn't have to be ugly, but let's celebrate it.
And you saw they had those big color covers that you can get for it, right? They had a green one and a yellow one, and you can order custom. So it was something that was really nice and different, and I like nice and different.
I do too.
Lastly, I want to ask you about this the Cisco Vision Room Vision PTZ camera. What's so great about that camera? I know it got a lot of exposure at the show.
Well, interestingly, the Cisco debuted that camera both at Cisco Live, which started the day before InfoComm, and at InfoComm at the same time. And I've seen the camera. I respect Cisco, so I'm assuming it's a beautiful camera. I'm not telling you it's the best image in the world or the best lens in the world. It's a very, very good camera, but it hooks up with one wire. You plug an RJ45 cable into it, Cat6 wiring throughout the room that does video over Ethernet, that does power over Ethernet, it does your control through the system. Think about all the wires that we in our industry have had to pull, HDMI and fiber and all the rest of this. And not just that, think about all the companies that are making these little Gazeta boxes that let you extend these wires. If we're now saying cameras and microphones and speakers are all going to hook up with an RJ45 and we're done, that's going to be game-changing for our industry. So kudos to Cisco for following their mic with the camera that does the same thing. One cable, nothing else.
And that's the big benefit of AV over IP. A lot of people are talking about the battle of whose AV over IP is going to win. In this particular case, nobody cares because they just want the system to work together. And this is a good application of where it isn't going to matter as long as it works because you have a single cable solution. You've dumbed down the system connectivity. You've also made it easy aesthetically to hide that cable. And by the way, you're using a cable that's used for every other thing in the building.
But think about, that when I was back in my days of being an end user in enterprises and financial services, if I wanted to put a camera on the wall to shoot the back of a room or an auditorium, not only did I have to mount the camera, not only did I have to pull the cable, I had to call an electrician because I had to put a power outlet up there.
Yeah,
right.
I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
All right. So look, Dave, thanks for everything you do for the industry specifically. And for us, we really appreciate partnering with you and you being part of rAVe and really appreciate your support.
My pleasure. Always happy to join you guys. Have fun.
All right. Thank you very much. And we got to talk about the Logitech Spot because it is now shipping.
It's important. Yeah. And it's important. This is another product. And Dave has even talked about this before that we're getting more into building management and that could be a really good thing for our industry. And this is a really great product that can be able to do that because we already know Logitech. We already love Logitech.
Yeah. And it allows the integrator to get into building analytics and things like that. And so check out this video on the Logitech Spot.
The Logitech Spot is this device that you're seeing on the wall.
There you go. And that's doing the environmental.
Exactly. Spot is an environmental sensor. It connects either Bluetooth Low Energy or LoRaWAN, which is an encrypted sort of really wide area network. It provides the LEED and well-certified health data back, so you can see this in your Insights tab in Logitech Sync, but it's also able to connect to your scheduling panels to do auto book and release for meeting rooms.
But you also have Spot built into some of the other products as well. You have it built into Logic in the Rally board as well, don't you?
Yeah, we have some similar features, similar sensors built into Rally board as well.
Yeah. All right. So another product that was popular at the show that Dave already mentioned was the ClickShare Hub.
Yep.
He already talked about it. He talked about why he thought that was a good product. But here's the video. This is a piece of the video that we made of it at InfoComm.
InfoComm.
And here's the actual full solution, which is called introducing our ClickShare Hub solution. Now, if I stop sharing, unplug, what I'm going to do now is launch a call in our Microsoft video conferencing room here. Now, within this call, this Teams call, I'm going to actually share my presentation within the Teams room. And there we are. We are actually sharing into a Teams room. And this is a complete ClickShare solution.
All right.
Okay. At this show, Shure was celebrating its 100th anniversary, and the booth was absolutely gorgeous, but we also just kind of have, like, they had so many vignettes of all of the things that Shure does in terms of, like, meeting room and pro audio. So here are a couple of things we have for, like, the IntelliMix kits for Microsoft Teams rooms. Saw a lot of people kind of really showing up and, like, showing out for if they were involved in MDEP, which Dave kind of talked about, but the IntelliMix kits for Microsoft Teams rooms, these include a Windows-based Teams room compute with an embedded IntelliMix room DSP, a touch panel, their ceiling array microphone and loudspeaker, 1 or 2, a Hudley camera, network switch, cables, accessories. So, like, these are so cool and so popular because they work and they simplify the IT headaches, top-tier performance. It's not necessarily like that this is something that is like groundbreaking, never been seen before, but this is like a great way to package something that Shure has already nailed in meeting room audio, and it's a great way to just package it up. You get all your stuff, you plug it in, and it goes.
All right. Love it. Simple.
Simple.
Loversol, which was a
Yeah.
production suite with a digital twin workflow. So, our industries and the broadcast industry and the, in-house production, in-house production and AV are sort of like merging into one industry. And I think part of it is due to SMPTE 2110. And then part of it is due to AV over IP. So check this product out because this is a product that you may not even realize you need or might want.
It's cool though.
So behind me, you can see a user interface where we have a arena out of Switzerland in Europe, where we can move around, look at this arena in a real-time 3D environment. But this isn't only half of the story. We can actually even control this arena remotely. So if we move over here, we can press a button and we're getting a live feed from this arena directly from Europe, streamed to InfoComm, where we can now go ahead and design our shows, for example, look at a different video clip with just a few frames of delay.
Okay, this next thing that I want to show you guys, let's go ahead and throw the video on, because this is like real-time projection mapping. And why this is cool is like exactly what I said. It's real time. So this is what they're showing is a small scale version. This can actually though be scaled up pretty much infinitely. And this is like projection mapping that's actually being tracked as he's moving it. And it's working from the projection tool software, being done by calibrating on the object, and then allows you to track it. So basically they also said that they're about a year away in development from tracking an object using their own calibration cameras. So this is Vioso's projection tool software.
And this is a good example of using AI for projection mapping. Taking it to the next level, because obviously Christie's had a product like this for many years, but not where the product where it can be moved and then actually still stay, which is nice because then you can do some cool robotic things. You can do some drone things. There's a lot of
the only other one I knew that could do this was scalable display technologies
Yeah.
integration with Seventh Sense, but I had not seen anything else on the market that could do anything similar until this. So I was really impressed by that this year. I know we're kind of moving into like emerging technology here. So yeah, I
Yeah.
just thought I'd include some like futuristic kind of things that I noticed that I thought might like leak a little more into our industry over these next couple of years. So Gary, did you see this switch, the Omniland Silent
Yeah,
Power? Were you
I
able to see
watched the
that?
video knowing that we were going to do this. It's an interesting network switch. Basically, it's billing itself as like the highest end network switch you can possibly
Yeah,
have. It's pure focused on the signal. It eliminates all outside interference from noise or magnetic interference or anything.
jitter, ground loops,
Yeah,
yeah.
so that therefore it has no fan. It for its itself, it has no nothing in it that could actually create noise or jitter. It'll isolate ground loops for you, so you can use it in live events, for example. And yeah, I mean, and it, it automatically recognizes the device that you connect into it. So
Mhm.
obviously for an AV industry, that means automated setup for AV over IP. Obviously they're trying to compete with Netgear and what Netgear is doing there. So it's a company called it's Silent Power by Omniland. So you can I should say Omniland by Silent Power. The company is Silent Power, but the product's Omniland.
Yeah.
Icron, which is an ADI devices company.
Mhm.
They had a USB extender product, right? I don't know if you had a chance to
Yes.
look at that.
Yes, it's called Arbutus. So this is actually a really, really interesting product. They have a few, but this one was the one that was most interesting to me because it is a driverless approach to AV over IP. So the way that Thomas Schultz explained it to me was it's like AV over IP light. So it extends DisplayPort and USB together over Ethernet, zero compression, no latency, and like seamless switching between sources. So it is kind of like that plug and play solution for secure AV control of like, so exactly like AV over P light.
There you go. All right, so
Yeah,
Steph, you did an interview with Tommy Tran.
I
It was his
did.
first time at InfoComm, and he's
Hmm.
working for a new-ish company.
Yep.
Talk about that really quickly, and let's watch that interview.
Yeah, so Tommy joined the AV industry in February, and like InfoComm was his first pro AV show ever. And it's been a long time since I've talked to someone who was like, this is my first show. So I was really interested to get his take on the things that he noticed that were cool. And he even kind of talks about like what it's like, even like having to network at your first show ever and what that's like for someone new in our industry. So you guys are gonna really like him. He's really cool. So check out this interview with Tommy Tran. Okay, everybody, for our next session during rePLAY InfoComm 2025, I'm pleased to welcome on Tommy Tran from Plexus AV. Tommy, welcome.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. We were talking a little bit before we started recording, but how has like life been post InfoComm for you?
It was my first InfoComm, so it was my
Yeah.
first time going through all the logistics, the whole show and everything. And I will say that after it, I was laid up in my bed for a couple
Right.
days after, but now I've had a little time to recover and I'm feeling pretty golden right now.
Good, good. Yeah, so this is your first InfoComm. Was this your first like show in Pro AV ever?
Yeah, first ever.
Okay.
So I had a lot of jitters coming into the space.
Right. Yeah. So when was it that you joined Plexus? So like yeah, walk us through your kind of history in the industry a little bit.
Yeah, so I have very little history in the industry actually. So I joined Plexus in February of this year as their new marketing manager. Before that, I had zero experience in the pro AV space. I grew up, you know, like looking at these shows from just like I look at the technology and stuff from different websites, YouTube videos. So I've always dreamt of going to a show like this, but never thought I'd ever actually end up at this show. So yeah, I've only been in the space for a few months and I've learned an insane amount that my head still hurts every week thinking about all the new
Right.
different things going on.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so what was your first impression? Like what were things you noticed? Was there anything that jumped out at you technology wise? Anything that surprised you?
Yeah, I would say I think of the one of the biggest things that surprised me was like the energy and like the scale of the show, right? When you
Mhm.
first come in, you've got the cool InfoComm LED signs, all this kind of to see the people all over the place with their lanyards and their badges. But it's not until you get into that showroom where you realize the actual scale of the booths in the room and how much new things, exciting things there are, and the energy and the amount of people running around checking out new things. Everybody's got their own purpose, whether it's leisurely or they're
Mhm.
trying to find a solution to a problem that they have. Right. I really wasn't prepared for that. I'm thinking that it's Pro AV. You probably could see a lot of the same stuff, but you really every single booth felt like it was offering something different, and that part was
Yeah.
really exciting because I just wanted to absorb all that information in.
No, and it's hard. Like, I always leave InfoComm being like, I didn't see everything. Like,
Yeah.
I think that is the hardest part. But like, what was that like for you? Did you have like, I know you spent a lot of time like in the Plexus booth, but did you
Mhm.
have time to explore? Like, did you have time to kind of take it all in?
Yeah, I had a little bit of time here and there, being at the booth mostly, but when you get a chance, you're running to the bathroom or something, or you need
Right.
to just step away for a little bit. That's when I really took the time to like, oh, just kind of poke my head around.
Mhm.
Being a camera guy myself, naturally seeing like Canon and Black Magic, I was like, oh, what do they got going on over there,
Yeah.
right? But you getting to be in this space now, I'm like thinking, oh, like yeah, who else is doing AV over IP and like what else is going on in that space, which is kind of a weird quote for me because I never cared about it until coming into this position.
Yeah, now like everybody cares about it. You're
Yeah.
in this like area where everyone is thinking about AV over IP. Okay, so the hardest thing for me, I'm like thinking back to my first InfoComm, which was that was a while ago now. But my hardest part was like networking and like
Hmm.
being able to go up to people I don't know and like
Hmm.
introduce myself and like find
Yeah.
things to talk to them about professionally. How did
Mhm.
you approach that as like an InfoComm first time? Or did you feel like that was like, a little bit easier for you?
I would definitely say I had like imposter syndrome initially coming into it.
I still
And
do. At
yeah,
that,
every
like
day, right? You're just
yeah.
like, oh man, because you could just look at some people, you're like, oh, they're really smart, and I really
Mhm.
don't know a lot, so I don't want to seem
Yeah.
dumb, right? So I did try to like prep as much as I could before of like, okay, like let's really think about like what you want to say, what do people want to know about the product and stuff like that. But it wasn't really until you just get out there, you just stand out in front of the booth and you see someone just looking at it for a second, and you have to just, all right, hey, how's it going? You know what I mean? You have to
Yeah.
just start the ball rolling. And I think once I got the first couple in, kind of got started talking things, saying things out loud, it was nice to get those thoughts out of my head. And I felt like, okay, I could do the next one and then the next one. And worst case scenario, my thing was like, I don't know the answer, but I know someone that's a lot smarter than I am. Can I just direct you to them? And
Yeah.
I knew that I was safe to just pass it on off, and I could just be
Mhm.
like, all right, what did he even ask me right now?
Yes, like, when people come up to you and they're like, "Okay, well, here's what I'm speccing. Here's
Yeah.
the room. I need to do this. What should I do?" I'm always like, "I don't know, but
Yep.
I can tell you where you should go to know."
Yeah.
Um, like, luckily, it is not my job to know.
Yeah, I was like, I know enough to at least
Yeah.
keep you there until I can find someone that actually knows all this stuff. There would be people that
Yeah.
would ask, like, "Oh yeah, like, can you guys do this?" I'm like, "That's an awesome question. Can we find out together?"
Yeah, I mean, yes. I think that I don't know, like, I think I'm just someone who's always gonna have imposter syndrome, but I will
Mhm,
say it does get better over
mhm.
time. Because like, you suddenly people ask you questions and you are like, "Wait, I actually do know the answer to that."
Yeah, yeah.
Like, like, actually, I am learning, so that's yeah, that's an exciting part, but
Yeah, I think being forced to kind of answer questions almost like I'm teaching people about
Mhm,
stuff, I think that helped like really like give me confidence. Like, okay, maybe I do know more than I thought I knew.
mhm,
I'm just constantly surrounded by people who are like product engineers and stuff who are talking strictly acronyms and abbreviations, and I'm like, okay, you lost me here. I need the full
right.
name of what this stands for.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. But, like, you would be surprised, like, what you pick up through, like, just
Hmm.
osmosis, like, hearing it over and over again. Like, I'm
Yeah.
sure even, like, being there since February, you've picked up a ton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I've learned so much about just Pro AV, but especially about AV or IP and IPMX and why the company is pushing so hard towards that direction. And
Mhm.
for me, I'm like, oh yeah, I may be biased, but I'm like, oh, this totally makes sense. Like, I understand why
Yeah.
people like why this is the future and why this makes so much sense. So it's exciting to get to be a part of that like frontier, and being like, oh yeah, no, I get to be a part of like the initial push on all this stuff.
Yeah, that's super exciting. So, like, what was the most surprising thing that you saw or that you learned from the show or from your experience at the show?
Yeah, honestly, I think with not having a lot of experience and knowledge of like what has been going on in the industry, what's been popular, um, bringing it back to like AV or IP and IPMX and stuff, like those were
Mhm.
just like words to me. They didn't mean anything, and I thought that everybody knew all about AV over IP and IPMX and all that kind of stuff, but I was really surprised. A lot of people were either what is AV or IP or what
Yeah.
is IPMX, or if they did know it, then the question would be, well, how does Plexus fit into that? You know,
Yeah.
and then realizing it's only like a few years old,
Mhm.
I was kind of shocked because it feels like, oh, we should have had this for years now. Like this should be a
Right.
standard at this point because it works so well.
That's a triggering word to the industry. Standard, they don't like that. Yeah, I mean, what I've realized is that, like, a lot of integrators are absolutely terrified of AV over IP, like,
Hmm.
recognize how important it is and how it, like, will move the industry forward, but, like,
Hmm.
the girls are scared.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Including
I
them.
totally get it because it's like, I mean, I the amount of codecs and standards and all this stuff, you hear all this stuff and you're just kind of like, yeah, it's just it becomes another thing that you have to kind of learn
Mhm.
to keep up with the industry because it just is so ever evolving that
Yeah.
you're just like, oh, here's another thing I have to learn about. Like, is this going to be useful now? Because they might have had an idea in their head for a solution, and now they're like, well,
Mhm.
now that this is in the books, like that's kind of cool too. I might want to lean a little more towards that now. But then
Right.
it starts over. The cycle continues.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay. Now, I think the last question I wanna ask you is, like, what are the trends or the technology or, like, anything that you saw that, like, excites you the most about the future of the industry?
Yeah. I would say I really appreciate, and this is like I am an Apple fanboy, and what I think Apple does really well with. I know that triggers some people on this show.
No, no, not
Uh,
me. I'm down. I'm with it.
but I think what Apple's done well, right, is that its user experience is super good, right? And so I've always been
Mhm.
really thoughtful of user experience, and I really appreciate that the industry is continuing to constantly move towards that, right? It's really focused
Yeah.
on how can we make the user's life like easier, whether they're an integrator, an engineer, whatever their level of experience is, where they're wanting to create an experience that's like easy to use. Ease of use
Mhm.
was like a hot word I kept seeing on every single
Yeah.
wall, everything, and that makes my heart full because that means that people like me who don't know a lot could go into a demo and be like, "Oh, this is actually really intuitive. Even I could do this." Right?
Yeah.
Not to say that I
Yeah.
could do it to the same quality, but it just means that that barrier to entry is getting lower and lower, which hopefully will invite more people to hop into the industry and keep the industry
Yeah.
thriving with fresh faces and new ideas.
And to me, that also means that they're starting to design, like, keeping in mind, like, who is using this day to
Mhm.
day. Like, a lot of times, it's, like, the CEO. Like,
Mhm.
most CEOs at companies, like, they don't know what this is. Like, they need to,
No.
like, walk into a room and it just needs to
Mhm.
work. And,
Yep.
like, teachers at, like, even colleges and universities,
Mhm.
like, they're not gonna know how to run a lot of this stuff. It's not what their
Mhm.
job is. So, the way that a lot of people are starting to take that into account that, like, it's technology being built, but it's not necessarily for technologists using it day to day, which I think
Yeah.
is, like, making, like, user interfaces a lot easier to
Yeah,
manage.
absolutely. Absolutely, and I think it's on the dot because it really is not just the really smart technical people, it's your non-technical users,
Mhm.
and then it's also I appreciate too because they're also making things just look better, right? I
Yeah,
think easy with, like, this back-end technology, they can keep it looking kinda old school, very,
mhm.
like, early Windows 2000, but now they're like,
Right.
"Oh, yeah, let's, like, actually make the UI look beautiful."
Look
You
beautiful.
know?
Yes.
Beautiful, very responsive, and, I think that just makes it cooler and more exciting when you get to show it off.
Yeah, Absolutely. Well, I 100% agree with you. Well, Tommy, it was great talking to you. Thank you for coming on. The actual last question I'm going to ask you is where people can find you online if they would like to connect with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can find me on at LinkedIn. So it's just Tommy Tran, TommyTran. Find me there, get connected. That's really the main place you can find me. Always check out Plexus as well. You'll see me posting on there or being a part of the post. So I'm very thankful that I got to be a part of this. I was pleasantly shocked that you invited me to join on staff. So I really appreciate it. And I hope we can keep doing cool stuff like this together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Tommy, thank you so much. And we will talk soon.
All right. Cheers.
All right.
All right. So yeah, that was kind of like introducing the industry to, somebody new who was experiencing everything for the first time. I thought it was pretty cool. So we're going to take a couple of questions now. So Call has asked us, was there anything related to the not so universal serial bus standard at InfoComm this year, a move to USB-C 3.0 perhaps? It's an ongoing challenge. It is. Anything that is a standard or something of like a standard is going to be a challenge in our industry, but I did see a few companies kind of moving out products to USB 3.0. I will say Wirestorm is one of them. They have a hub that can do USB 3.0, and then like an extender.
Sound control technologies too.
Yes, so I wouldn't say like every company had something for it, but I would say like a few are starting to move that way. So I wouldn't say that it's like a standard that's like taking over right now, but it's something that our industry is for sure paying attention to.
And if you have USB-C issues, regardless of what version of it is, talk to the people at Sound Control because they're a small company and they know what they're talking about. Jeffrey Rice asked about the rumors that the VIXA was going to move InfoComm away from Orlando to the West Coast, and the rumors were not true.
No,
it's going to be you don't want it to be in one location all the time. Trust me, the shows that are in one location all the time, the attendees that attend those shows, that's the only thing they complain about is I hate that the show's in the same location all the time. They like every other thing about it. So you want to alternate between two. Number one. Number two, almost 65% of the total AV business is done east of the Mississippi. So there's a huge audience on this side compared to the West Coast side. So you need to have an East Coast show. Now, is Orlando the best place to be in the middle of the summer? Definitely not.
Yes.
But we don't spend much time outside. Let's be honest. We're spending our time inside. And it's inexpensive comparatively. Vegas is getting more and more expensive every year.
It does, doesn't it?
Exhibitors are complaining about Vegas at a much higher rate than Orlando. They like doing Orlando. They don't like doing Vegas. Attendees like Vegas better. So it's a balance of it all. At some point in time, you'll probably see the show shift a little bit, but the places that you want it to go are just way too expensive, like LA and Chicago or Anaheim. Good luck. Like that's the reason why Star Wars Celebration's at Anaheim, because they can afford to have it there.
Right.
InfoComm cannot afford to be at InfoComm in Anaheim. But yeah, unfortunately, it's not going to move. Those are all rumors.
Their contracts
at least for the next 5 years. So
yeah. Okay, Jeffrey says he's going to pass on to the rumor mill that it's a false rumor. Okay, good. Good.
Now Orlando could kick them out, but I doubt it because Orlando's lost so many shows. It's a good place to have a show right now because they're wanting more shows to come back. So
yeah. Absolutely. Okay, so we have like 5 more videos for you guys. We're gonna go through those super quickly. Thank you for sticking around. So this is the Magnetic 3D. If you've heard of this company, they've been around, but what their whole thing is glasses-free 3D displays. My whole thing was this is just like super niche. But they're talking about AI-based avatars, 3D digital signage, which there is a lot of a need for that more and more each year. But they also do 3D modeling, design, collaborative healthcare, which there is a lot of need for like that 3D technology there as well. They do modeling and simulation for digital twins. They do a lot. So
yeah, and they're not the only one. Obviously, Sony has the spatial reality displays, the SRDs. So there's a market for that. I think primarily in 3D modeling is probably the biggest market, and second is probably like eye-catching digital signage. I guess probably be that. But the displays are small. Like I think Sony's I heard a rumor they might come out with a 50-inch this year,
Oh,
maybe 55-inch,
interesting.
which would be
Yeah.
bigger, but certainly I don't have any knowledge of that. So
And Magnetic 3D does a lot of really cool stuff in like hotel lobbies, a lot of really experiential kind of installs. So it is still really niche, but it's interesting. We're seeing it more and more, like kind of built into different places. This next one, this is Color Lights Color Magic. So this is a live LED native color calibration with real-time HSV color controls, 3D LUTs, curve adjustments. So this allows you to like fine tune hue, saturation, and brightness like of your color live and on the fly without interrupting playback, which I think is pretty original. I haven't seen anything like I've seen things that allow you to edit this, but I haven't seen much that lets you do it live.
And remember that the nice thing about this is you can adjust it after it's running in the normal ambient light conditions, and it can take into consideration the fact that it may not be a flat wall and there may be different reflections happening. So that's unique. Scalable Display Technologies launched Scalable Atlas and at the show, which is a 6-projector stacked dome with single camera software that handles the work of aligning and calibrating everything all at once. So it's sort of like projection mapping kit, I guess is what you would say, for large projection mapping applications. And so you ought to check that out. Again, Scale Displays, the company that basically simplified projection mapping in the first place. That's how they got created. And they were there at the show showing Atlas. So you can find out more information about it by watching our videos, all of our InfoComm videos at raypubs.com/InfoComm.
Yes. And then this next one, this one's cool. This is the AluVision Wishing Well display. So this is, they also call it an infinity well, but it lets you step into this concave kind of LED world. It's built on their quick assemble framing system and their seamless LED tiles. So it's like mixing mirrors with these tiles to create this like large depth illusion, which I've seen done, you know, using LED and mirrors or projection mirrors. That's been done, but I did think that this was a cool application for that. Perfect for like your experiential exhibit, event attractions, that kind of thing.
Or to scare the hell out of people on Halloween.
Yeah.
And then finally, I did an interview with Joan, who has the neatest, simplest room sign systems I've ever seen. You know, they're not overcomplicated. Most of them are e-paper based. They can be installed anywhere. Most of them don't even need power. They have magnets on the back of them. So nice thing is you can take and make a room sign, put it on a glass conference room. You can put it on you know, outside the door to brand the office spaces with the names of who's in the office and their hours, and they can change the content on the fly. And so I wanted you to see a piece of this video because this is a really inexpensive, cool way to add both digital signage and room signage without a lot of work, not a lot of integration, and it's an upsell to your customers. So it's from a company called Joan. Check it out. And then what's interesting about it is the same software, from what I understand, it's the same software that runs it all, regardless of the form factor of the sign that you use and what the application is.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So obviously, you know, most people, when they think e-paper, they think of the Kindle.
Absolutely.
And this is very similar technology where, in this case, this is not using any power or anything unless you change the screen. So it's hung with a magnet.
Yep.
You charge it here.
Yes.
And tell me about this.
Actually, I want to correct there. This is we're showing kind of our workplace digital signage.
Okay.
Right here. In this application, you can be used as room placards. You can display corporate messages, the weather, you know, fire alarms, anything like that that the corporate office wants to display. But the charging side of it, this is not charging it. This is a smart magnet.
Oh, very cool.
So what that means is if you had 10 of these throughout a corporate headquarters and you went back and you charged the unit overnight, the next day you could come back and put any display on that magnet. The magnet remembers the room. You don't have to match the display to that magnet.
So basically you could have a cache of these displays. You don't have to remember which one goes where.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's very interesting. So the content, so this is providing the communications for the content as well.
Correct.
That's very cool. That's innovative. All right. Well, thanks for joining us all day today, or for, I should say, 1 hour today. We're going to come back and do an hour tomorrow and an hour on Thursday, doing the same thing. We're going to basically curate what we think are the top 20 or 30 videos each day for the best products that we've seen. And we will do that each day. That allows you to earn 3 CTS credits if you're staying with us all 3 days, 1 per day. And give us feedback on networking, give us feedback on ask questions during this and tell us how we can make this better. I know a lot of you who are on didn't get a chance to go to InfoComm. So Steph, I really enjoyed doing this with you.
Yeah, same. And tomorrow I'm going to kind of be covering, or we're going to kind of be covering a lot of like display technology. So a lot of projection displays, LEDs, LCDs, digital signage, and control technology is kind of what we're going to be covering that really stood out to us. So make sure to join us tomorrow for another hour. Might have a couple, extra voices come in and talk about like their top trends that they saw. And yeah, appreciate you guys for watching. Gary, appreciate you for doing this with me.
Yeah, thanks. Same.
All right.
See y'all tomorrow.
Bye, everyone.